beard, the smile, the Rhinegeist shirt, looking good. The director of education at Rhinegeist in Cincinnati, Ohio. Chris, so good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, buddy. It's been a while.
It's been a while. This face-to-face feels really good, the new face-to-face. So
yeah.
I'm excited to talk to you, what's happening with you personally, to introduce the 7 people who don't know about Rhinegeist Brewery, to what you guys are all about in Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati. It's one of the top places I tell people about. I was like, there's a place on the food and beverage side that you don't know is crushing it, and that is Cincinnati. So I'm excited to get more voices from your town. So tell us real quick, just kind of your role as director of education. I love that term. It's like the minister of progress. You know, it's just like, what does that mean? He's just out there doing bullshit.
Don't worry about it.
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah. You're going to get beer and you will learn something talking to Chris. And then talk a little bit about kind of Rhinegeist, what the ethos there is and what Rhinegeist is all about there in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for inviting me to join you on these. These I've been trying to tune in when I can, and it's been fun getting, as you said, just getting voices from kind of all over and different aspects of the broader industry. It's sort of, I sometimes joke like, there's like industry and then industry adjacent, and that includes so much. But yeah, I'm Chris. Hi, everybody. I'm at Rhinegeist in Cincinnati. So Rhinegeist will be 7 years old this summer, which makes us old, I think. Weird. I'm confused. I don't feel like we've been around for super long. But every time I hear Bart from the BA talk numbers, it's wild. Being the director of education, I do a lot of things. I do stuff like this and really try to just interact with both within the industry at, conferences and working with our team internally and our accounts and distributing partners and the public. Pretty much anytime I can sort of get in front of, a warm body and talk beer and share some knowledge. That's what I enjoy doing. It's not really how I got started. I got started as a brewer.
Right.
I worked at a brewery in North Carolina and then moved to Cincinnati, started brewing at Rhinegeist, and then we had some pretty spectacular growth over the first few years of the company, which was pretty wild. And we were hiring a lot of people and really, to some extent, just trying to hang on to the bus, but we realized that we wanted to kind of give everybody some background in brewing. If we hired an accountant, we're hiring the best accountant. They may not know a whole lot about beer or care a whole lot about beer or craft, but we try to be a company that they like to be a part of. But we want to teach them a little bit about beer as well. So kind of started doing that. I ended up, as you know, like every time there's like meet the brewer panel and these things, I kept sort of ending up on those.
Right.
I like to say that brewers tend to be people that have self-selected to spend their time alone in a warehouse.
Yeah.
So not necessarily
you're definitely articulate for a brewer. So they're like, well, who's going to talk? And it's like, it's got to be Chris. Got to go.
It's funny. You say articulate. I mean, most of the brewers I know are whip smart. And I mean, this. True. They just don't want to do that.
Right.
They don't want to be,
I should say, and have the desire and motivation to do that in front of a crowd.
Right. Yeah. They want to, you get them one-on-one talking shop, they'll never leave.
No, hours later.
Yeah. But I was comfortable doing this and I like sharing this. So I ended up doing a lot of those panels and just started doing some internal training at first. We've sort of adopted the Cicerone program as a framework for some of our base training. Everybody that works at Rhinegeist, we put them through a training that I do, and then they're required to pass the certified beer server test.
They all have to get the level one.
Yeah, door guys, delivery, everybody. Not just the front of house people, because we also, everybody's front of house, whether you like it or not.
Right.
It might just be in your own house, but you're representing the brand. And I get a lot of feedback from like somebody who gets hired as like one of our maintenance techs, and it's like, okay, well, once you told your friends that you got a job at Rhinegeist, did they ask you about pumps or maintenance, or did they ask you about the beer? So,
yep. True story. And so talk about that. I like that. You're creating brand ambassadors at every level with hundreds of employees. So I think that's an important distinction that I think is smart. And having somebody in this position full time, not just like randomly getting some education here or there, but committed to it is important. So talk about Rhinegeist, the culture, and specifically, let's talk about Cincinnati a little bit, because you guys are so embedded in the DNA of the OTR, over the Rhine. I'll let you tell people what that means and the community as a whole. And then I'll make sure we segue into talking about our friend Jose Salazar, because he is a pillar of all things Cincinnati and is, the reason we're even connected now. So let's talk about Cincinnati a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like I have a really fun perspective because I'm not from Cincinnati or from Ohio. I grew up, the Triangle area of North Carolina. That's where I lived for a long time. And as things go, my wife had a job opportunity in Cincinnati, and we came up for a visit, and we were like, I don't know anything about this place. People always said like, well, what'd you think? And I was like, I didn't. Like I know no family here, no, anything. But we came up and it was December, so it was cold.
Yeah.
But we had a blast. We're just walking around the city and feeling the energy. This was like this would have been 2013 probably, maybe 2014. And then we decided to move up here, and it's really become home for us. And a lot of it is that vibe that you're talking about. We've got this like awesome blend of Midwest and South, but we also have some really strong ties to like, the what you think of like, the Clevelands, the Pittsburghs, the Detroits. Like there's, Cincinnati's an old, industry town. It's an old brewery town for sure, which we can talk about. I guess that ties into OTR, but we just have this great community here, and it's all happened really in the last decade or so of some people like Jose, like Jean Robert, like Dan Wright, some of these early restaurateurs, opening places up and really taking a chance on downtown. And it's brought a lot of revitalization and a lot of things. The city's put a lot of money into parks and things like that, really clean it, like giving people a nice place to go is nice. We have some cool old buildings and things like that. But that's been a really cool thing. So the part of downtown where Rhinegeist is called Over the Rhine, OTR. And that comes from pre-Prohibition. There was a lot of breweries in Cincinnati and a lot of German immigrants, really, which was, part and parcel. Hand in hand, for sure. And so the area of town, which was a less affluent, a poorer area of town, was sort of north of the sort of core of downtown. There was a canal that ran through. It's gone now. It's Central Avenue. But it was a canal that connected to the Ohio River for all that industry. And that industry was primarily beer, sausage, and wrought iron. But the northern side of that canal was where most of the German immigrants lived. And the joke was that was the Rhine River in Germany. So Over the Rhine was that neighborhood. And so that was a big German heritage area, and just for a long time has had a big influence. It's where a lot of our historic brewery buildings are. But unlike some other old brewing cities, like Milwaukee or St. Louis, none of the breweries in Cincinnati survived Prohibition. Right.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, when we were doing just a little background on Cincinnati, OTR came up as one point being like the deadliest neighborhood in the country or something like that. It was like, I was like, oh man. And Jose was like, yeah, I got my restaurant down there. I was like, right on, man. Like, I love it. We go down there. I was like, way to set it up, man. Cool. We go down there and it is just so dense with cool shit. Like, there's no way around it. Just unbelievable bars and restaurants. And then Rhinegeist is there. And it just felt like very urban and hip and new and funky as hell, like all of those things. And so we like fell in love with it right away when we were there. And Jose, one of the best hosts we had anywhere in the country. I've traveled to do different brewed food events or beer specific or, chef dinners, whatever that might be. He was so proud, and he too is a transplant from Queens, and so proud to show off. And we went into 24 places there, and it's just like he knows everybody and was so proud to introduce us to these people and get one bite or one sip or one whatever from them to just like show off his town, his adopted town, but it's his town.
Yeah. Like, no, it really is. I think that plays into it. We have this great mix of kind of homegrown people and homegrown talent, and then a bunch of us that are, transplants, but have really adopted Cincinnati. And there's, because a lot of the growth has happened and a lot of the redevelopment and bringing in that community has been relatively recent. Everybody worked together with somebody from somewhere, and it's just that, and they go to this new place and they start their own thing. The amount of people that have come up in Cincinnati and stayed. Right. Has been really awesome. And, then we get all these new places, and then we, every once in a while we lure somebody in from out of town and keep them. But it really is. I mean, that tight knit, we're a really big little city or a really little sort of big city. You walk around and you see people because it's the same people.
Yeah, I love it. I love the energy there. I want everyone to know that. I'm gushing over Cincinnati for sure. Talk about it a lot. And having Jose on this show was very, he's such an open guy. He is struggling. It's a challenge, all these things happening in this moment, yet he's still so motivated to figure out a way to support, to be a part of that community. So he's like adopted the Lee Initiative. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. We're going to have Lindsay Osasik and on the show next week, who's the executive director, co-founder of that. And just how quickly he pivoted into, I have to take care of people. Like, my business is like fucked right now. Like, no way around it. It is struggling. We're hurting. Like, we lay it, people are furloughed. We're laying people off, whatever that is. Yet my first instinct is figure out a way to feed other people. It's just, can't say enough about it.
I mean, he went from, one day running 3 restaurants that all have kind of very different, culinary vibe and sort of price point and everything, to transitioning kind of everything out of the more casual, most kind of accessible and affordable concept for people to get curbside, which is great for, the people that live downtown that are trying to support, you can buy, you don't have to buy a $25 steak. Now you can, it's amazing. I would recommend it. But you can also get a burger or a fried bologna sandwich. And then he took his sort of, the big downtown restaurant and has completely converted it into this Lee Initiative sort of location where they're cranking out. And I mean, you see like the pictures posted of the meals they're putting together. These aren't, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a bag of Fritos, which is honestly a lot of my lunches, but they're putting together some really great food. They're working with a lot of local produce providers and other food manufacturers that are donating food and really doing some cool stuff. La Soup is another great organization here in Cincinnati that's putting together a lot of meals for a lot of people, and it's just amazing to see not only the amount of hours and effort that are going into that, but as you said, just the passion in putting that together. And it's very much just that kind of Cincinnati, like all right, well, we'll figure it out. Like, got to do something. We don't sit still well in the Midwest. Like we work hard, play hard.
I love it. All right, let's talk about beer. I feel like we need to talk about beer a little bit. So I was so sad that we couldn't find any Rhinegeist beer around town, and you guys have thoughtfully and safely kind of shut down what you're doing. So I'm gonna have, since I just had our boy Dave Bergen on, he
Nice.
sent me some beer from Joyride here, and I know Dave's watching. I'm going to be Drinking for Science IPA, and I'm glad it's an IPA because you guys crush the IPA game. So Truth is one of those beers that like always makes me happy. So pale ale, and then talk about just your guys' approach to beer, and tell us what you're drinking too.
Yeah. So we're in this spot where so first of all, I'm drinking Knowledge. So similar theme to Drinking for Science, I guess. It's our Imperial IPA, very West Coast style, nice and clear, pretty classic. And then, but by far our flagship is Truth, our sort of standard American IPA, also in the West Coast style, nice and bright. Little bit of Cara Red and Vienna give it a little bit of a malt roundness. I always tell it's bitter, but it's not just bitter. That's sort of.
I like it.
But yeah, Truth has been our flagship from day one. It's been, it's the beer that built Rhinegeist. It's people have really tagged onto it. We all love it. It's like it's the baby. Like nobody messes with it. Like, which is it's funny because of course we're constantly messing with it, dealing with, changing, harvest years and new batches of malt and things like that, and new brew house, but trying to leave it alone as far as anyone would know. But yeah, Truth has always been, 40-45% of our volume, and now is probably higher. We've definitely seen people kind of go back to those known brands during this. Part of it is we've completely stopped brewing specialty. There's no draft, at least not for us. We're not doing growlers, just logistically, and we have the capability to do cans and bottles, so that's what we're focusing on. There's a very small amount of draft is going out to some restaurants that are doing, carry out beer. They'll fill growlers or whatever. We're trying to do what we can to support, our partners. If they want draft beer, we'll bring it. But yeah, Truth's been huge for us. I will say I'm both happy and sad that you don't have any Truth out there, because I was looking back at when we last sent beer to Denver, because we're not out there full time. We always do a drop around GABF, and if CBC is there, or every once in a while, CSA will bring out some beer. We love Denver, but it's not really in our footprint. So I was gonna have you check the date on anything that you saw out there, but
good. That means everyone sold through all of your beer. That's a good.
No, CSA is great. I mean, they work with us really well as far as, when we send beer out, we try to send the right amount. Is really, that's hard.
Maybe you can help get to the bottom of this. How is it that Rhinegeist is so good at both internally and then out in the community and the market, good at getting people to drink the Kool-Aid? There is just something about Rhinegeist where it's like, those guys are fucking cool. Like, that was just the vibe there is super cool. The energy, like the camaraderie within there, the quality of beer, and it's not like you have this one style. You have a myriad of types of personalities there, from, people shooting videos, running around the brewery, stark naked, to your more thoughtful curating education, to a complete genius like Jim Matt, who's, you know, on the science side of what you guys are doing. And shout out to Jim. We got to come and brew a collaboration beer with you guys that we showed off at GABF a few years ago. Yep. So like, you guys have everybody from all kinds of walks of life, of styles, of generations, yet like everybody's drank the Kool-Aid, me included.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to a few things, and one that's very important is our leadership. Our two founders, you know, they're still very involved and passionate about everything we're doing, and you know, the team that we've built. You know, we have close to 300 employees, which is a lot. But you know, we self-distribute in Cincy and in Columbus, and so that's a lot of bodies and warehouse and sales team and everything like that. But it's taking the time to care about people and give them the opportunity to change and to grow. You know, I look at, you know, I came in as a shift brewer. Basically, you know, it was a small team of brewers, and we were in the middle of crazy growth. I always joke that they didn't know how many more brewers we needed. You know, they brought me on, and then a couple months later brought another couple people on, and just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But it was always about letting people find a way to be happy here, and also letting people not be here if that's what they need. You know, we've had people leave here to go work at other startups, and you know, it's, you know, half the people in the grand opening for the next place is Rhinegeist folks. You know, we're trying, you know, like, because it's our friend. You know, I mean, it's somebody from our team.
Like that very much. Like, you guys are just pushing to empower people throughout. That was very clear in the, you know, dozen conversations I had with different people, and then we did a tasting and seminar, invited in chefs, brewers, and writers from around town. So it was very clear, just the relationships. And yeah, I met brewers from multiple other spots. Like, oh yeah, I started at Rhinegeist. You know, like, and that I think is important. You guys were like putting people into the ecosystem, and that good always comes back. So I appreciate that.
No, it's an important thing for us to do. You know, as we've grown, you know, we don't. I mean, as you know, like, there's only so many brewer jobs, right? And if you want to be a brewer, like, sure, we've added a good number over the years, but if that's your goal and you can't do it with us, and you find an opportunity to do it, we want you to go do it. You know, we don't want you to be unhappy. And, you know, that goes to, you know, our ownership and our leadership they spend a lot of time. I mean, our high level leadership, they get together every other week just to talk about culture and issues and management and, you know, problem solving and how to provide opportunity. And, you know, that's a big part of what I do. Is, you know, I do a lot of stuff internally, and that came from people expressing desire to have more opportunities to learn about beer. You know, I do some more advanced beer classes. We have about 30 certified cicerones on staff, which is kind of nuts. Like 10% of our team is certified cicerone, or 1% math.
Arithmetic. So
yeah, you know,
in that dynamic in this moment right now, because it's easy to say that. A lot of companies say that, oh, we care about our people, we do this and that, but you guys have been able to scale that. Honestly, it feels like as you guys have gotten bigger and are now a top 50 production brewery in the country, stuff like that, you've actually gotten better at it, which is the reverse of what the expectation would be as you grow. In this moment right now, 300 people are unsure about the future of Rhinegeist, unsure about the future of craft beer, unsure about their own personal finances, their job, all of that. What are the conversations like? What's happening in this moment within your company, within the humans within your company, to kind of stay galvanized right now?
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely want to hit that, but I think one thing that I thought of when you were saying that is, I think we've gotten better at the sort of cultural management and dedication, because when we were growing so fast, it was hard. We weren't putting the energy that we should have been to that, because we were doing like 300% growth, and that's hard. And we lost some great people, and I don't blame them. I mean, we went through some. We had our bumps in the road just like anybody does, but we were able to, as we got more established and slowed down on purpose. um, it gave us the opportunity to stop and say, no, we really need to look at this. We do value our people, and we're not doing everything we could be doing. So what else can we do? And again, that if you don't have leadership that thinks that way, it's not going to happen. It takes a lot of people to implement something like that, for sure, and it takes everybody to sort of buy in. But you have to have that support from up top. So Bob and Brian have been awesome, and that's trickled down through sort of the whole leadership. Kind of in that same vein, when all this kind of started going down, our leadership, kind of went to the command center and started having conversations and brainstorming, and um, our our draft business basically went to zero. Our tap room, we our tap room's been closed since before St. Patrick's Day, and that's, I mean, you've been to our tap room. That's not a 2 employee type tap room. We probably have 50 employees that work in our tap room.
Yeah.
And so we've been sort of rolling some things out. Some of it is pretty much everybody's taken some type of sacrifice hours, or things like that. One of the things that we talked about, or our leadership talked about, and I think everybody was supportive, was we didn't want to, have the people that are part-time make all the sacrifices by getting let go or furloughed, and everybody else just keep their, normal situation. So kind of everybody's taking taking their lumps and dealing with it. And we've got a structure set up for if anybody needs assistance. Pete, who runs our HR, he's checking in with everybody and sending out, anybody need help with, if you're filing for unemployment, or if you're looking for, hell, our owner offered to help people talk to their landlords or banks about rent mitigation, because he's done that a lot, and he's a lot more experienced than most of us.
Sure.
I mean, and that sounds, it's a lot of little things. We haven't really done one blanket thing. We've tried to have opportunities for people. We've got our security guards and a lot of our bartenders are running our curbside. So we're doing drive up, order online, curbside beer. We started doing delivery. So we've got our delivery vans, our warehouse team, running around the city, making people's day, I hope, dropping off beer. We've got some people on our team sewing masks for other people on our team, and that's something that we're trying to do. Some of our marketing and design team are kind of helping out with like the Over the Rhine chamber and doing some other things to, we don't have a lot of cash flow to be making big donations right now, but we can donate some of our team's time, and that's something that we've been trying to do. We've got a lot of people out, restocking grocery, because that's pretty much all there is right now, beyond the curbside and delivery. So and it's been everybody. We've got people from our events team, our private events, people from our our office manager is getting up at 4 a.m. and hitting Kroger before it opens to make sure that there's 6 packs of Truth and that they're in date and everything. And that's like that she doesn't have to do that. she could say no, you know, but I really, I mean, there's been very few people who have said like, no, I don't want to do that. And you know, that keeps me doing, you know, the things like this where, and you know, my beer talks and things like that. And
Chris, I gotta tell you, it makes so much sense. I mean, that's the simplest way to say it. When I think about Rhinegeist specifically, or when I think about like craft beer and restaurants as a whole, just the humans in hospitality are just so called to service. And so it's not surprising to me at all in this moment that just finding a way. When I think about the culture that you have, when I think about how that is manifesting in the past, present, and even into the future, it's simple. It's not this like existential ethos that you have that completely changes the paradigm of being a fucking person. It's like, give a shit and hustle. And when you say that, like, you want my help negotiating your rent, I can do that for you because I give a shit and I'm going to hustle and I can like make that happen for you. So like, I really appreciate that. And it's keeping us sane as well in this moment because we're so fueled by interaction, by face-to-face, by creating an experience, a memory for people, introducing them to something new. So it makes all the sense in the world that that's how you're accomplishing that in the past and now in this moment as well. So really appreciate it. Any last thoughts that you have for us to kind of share? And then I definitely want you to recommend some other Cincinnati breweries because including Mad Tree, there's some amazing breweries. But any last thoughts before that?
No, I just, you know, I guess the one thought that I have is, you know, encourage people to keep doing what they're doing. You know, this sucks. Yeah. Like it's just shitty. And, you know, I think that doing our best to be okay with that and, you know, be okay with, you know, having a really awful day. And, you know, whether you're grumpy or crying or just totally, you know, malaise and just don't want to do any of the things that you're supposed to do. Let that happen. Right. And, you know, like this is not something that anybody was ready for. And the thing that I've been trying to do and trying to say is, you know, spend your money now where you want to be able to spend your money later.
That's good.
Because, you know, I mean, I don't know who, and I don't know which places, but, you know, no matter where you are in the country, in the world, some of your places aren't going to be there after this. And, you know, I on one hand, I try not to think about it, but it's a reality. You know, I mean, that happens in normal time. You know, I mean, you know this, you know, restaurants, breweries, bars, those are tough, slim margin, high closure businesses in the best of times. And this ain't that.
Yeah, it's good. I quoted that, man. Spend your money now where you want to spend it later. It's good. I'm not surprised that you had a mic drop quote for us. I appreciate that. Built up to it. I like that. All right. So mentioned Mad Tree. Really love what those guys are doing. They, like you, have a massive and beautiful and high energy tap room. So I'm just going to throw out, get your hands on some Mad Tree. If you're in Cincinnati, you know. If you don't know, now you know. Yep. Right. And who are a couple other breweries that you just want to give a shout out to right now that people need to pay attention to?
Yeah, I think I would say one of my favorite spots, and along with Mad Tree, what I always tell people is like our first phone call is a place called Taft. They're also an OTR, their original location. It's in a beautiful, it was an old church that they completely renovated and have a brew pub in there. And they've since opened up a production facility. They're making some really awesome stuff. They've been running through like all these really beautiful, like they've done a few different runs of like Italian Pilsner and just some really great stuff. A lot of it's draft only, but like Gavelbanger is their IPA. Totally different profile than Truth or Psychopathy, which is Mad Trees, which is great. Like you can grab all three and they're different, you know? I mean, I always joke, I'm sure you've had Psychopathy, Mattry's flagship IPA. The joke around town is, uh, they're both IPAs in a green can, and they're about 7.5%. But profile-wise, they're super different.
Oh yeah.
And they're both just really thoughtful, really well done. Let's see. Madtree also does. They do all these chef series beers, which are really cool. They work with some local chefs, and they end up with all sorts of like wacky ingredients. And you can only grab those at their tap room, which is really fun. That's not too far from where I live. Got to throw a shout out to my local, which is Nine Giant. They're a few hundred barrel a year brew pub in my neighborhood, and honestly, they have a scratch kitchen except for the bread, and they buy that locally, and everything else is really just a small menu but really tasty. And then the beer is it's one of those places that the beer's going to be good. It might not end up being your favorite, but like I never hesitate to I'll try that.
Yeah. Just on style, well made.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing some really great stuff. All the beers have music reference names, and some are like really clear and some are super obscure. So you have to kind of like scratch your head for a while. It's pretty fun.
I like it. All right, rip off like 3 more, and then I'm gonna let you go. Get back to it. And thanks for dropping some knowledge on us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe like 2 or 3 more.
Let's see. Urban Artifact is doing some really great. If you're into the like fruited sours, like heavy fruit, they're doing some really cool stuff. Everything they do is wild or sour. 50 West, they do a really great Belgian white called Doom Pedal that I really like. Brink is. I feel like that's the one that everyone knows because they haven't met an award that they haven't won, and well deserved. By the way, it's awesome. They're doing some great stuff. And then we've got there's 50 breweries in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I know you love them all. We can't mention them all, but that's really great. It's clear to me how important the community is there, and the fact that when you're naming these breweries, not only do you appreciate the beers that they're making, but the people that work there, because half of them you might have worked with in the past. So it's really great. Chris, so good catching up with you. I definitely got a little education today. I appreciate that as always. Thoughtful, well-spoken brewer, you are, my friend. Thanks so much, and keep that Cincy strong going, man. You guys got something special there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I will say I'd be remiss if I didn't do my own shameless self-promotion on Rhinegeist Instagram account every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, Cincinnati's Eastern. We just call it Beer Talk, and kind of a little 30 minutes from my command center here and talk beer.
Yeah, go check it out. Rhinegeist Instagram, and caught an episode. Education. It's literally, no wonder it's your title, man. It's just, you're always trying to introduce people to something new, some little tidbit. And especially I like how you're a little bit of a historian about things too. So contextualizing the past and the present is super fun. So good job of storytelling there.
It's a good role.
I love it, my friend. All right, be good. Take care.
All right, yeah. Thanks, dude, for doing this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Chris Shields, Director of Education at Rhinegeist in Cincinnati, Ohio. I wasn't joking. Cincinnati, if you don't know, you need to go. You need to check it out. Their vibe, their energy, the people there, the quality of food that we had, the quality of beer, distilleries as well. It's up there. So go check out and support. And if you are in Cincinnati, and make sure that you're supporting those humans because they need it right now. If you're having a bad day, they might be having a bad day. Getting one more beer from somebody makes a difference. It really does. So appreciate that conversation. Happy to have this day of craft beer. Very therapeutic for me in this moment to be able to talk to some of the humans in craft beer that I appreciate so much, and to taste a couple beers from my friends at Joyride and Edgewater here in the Denver area. Tomorrow's shows, great shows, coming to you from New York. I guess we're sponsored by New York tomorrow. Allie Rosen, wildly popular TV host of Potluck with Allie, caught several of her episodes in the past, got reconnected with them, watched quite a few, and love some of the interviews with like Tom Colicchio and things like that she does. So, and then introducing you to people that you know really well, as well as some new people, which I love. That's a lot of what I'm trying to do. So Allie does it way better than I do. We're going to talk to her a little bit. I'm going to try to siphon some of what she has, that magic that she has. And that's going to be our noon show, Noon Mountain, 1 p.m. Mountain. I have V on, one letter, V, powerhouse from the James Beard Foundation. They have been doing unbelievable work in this moment, even more than ever. And they're already such a bedrock to support the hospitality community in this time. So we're going to talk a little bit about the efforts that they have going. And it's going to be fun. I'm excited about it. Thanks. I'm going to finish this beer right here. As Dave said on the earlier episode, so you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. Felt really good to be able to have these conversations. Thank you, as always. I appreciate you. I'll check